Hey Gustavo, this is at Portola Valley project. Figured I'd get you teed up and get our questions to you so you can think about it. But so they have solar, they have an upgraded panel when they did that. I believe it's 200 amps. Ooh, it's pretty big for 200 amps. Maybe that's not 400. Come on. 200. I don't know what this means. That says 200 and this says 125. Sub panel in the pantry. I don't know. Anyway, so what they have right now is a conduit that goes from there. It's a 2-inch conduit all the way back to kind of the backyard over here. So we thought, hey, we can put the generator over here, pull the wire through there. I don't know, back here somewhere, because that conduit's right here and it's empty. So the other question we also have is he just got the Tesla Cybertruck, and that's going to park here. So I believe we need to get power. I think where the charging port is on the center post. We're going to need to get power to there. This is all going to get removed for asphalt, so we can put a conduit down and go over and pull from that power. Now, here's our problem. The pool equipment, that's only a 50 amp sub panel, and that also supplies the little guest house here, and it also supplies a little detached little bar. So I don't think we can really pull from that 50 amp for the charger. So my question is, does the technology exist such that we can have a breaker there for, let's say it's 100 amps, and we can pull a 100 amp wire through that conduit that's there over to here, and that from there we can come from here and then trench back and conduit over to there to have, 100 amp, basically an 80 amp charger. But then in the event that the power goes out, that a switch gets flipped, and instead of power going this way, the generator kicks on, the switch kicks, and power runs this way back to the panel and back feeds the panel. And then that would just be unusable. So we would just tell him, hey, if the power's ever out, you cannot charge your car, it won't work. And in that case, we would just add a secondary, maybe a 50 or 40 amp plug over here so that in an emergency, he could just pull up and charge it out here. But 95% of the time, just park in there and charge. Does the technology to do that exist? I would just say we do this with no permits. So, that's probably two different questions. A, would they let you? B, is it possible? So that's our main question. Our second question is on gas line. So there's a gas line that's already run out here. I think it's an inch, it might be an inch and a half, but look, maybe it's 1.25 inches. There's a gas line that comes up here. Now it feeds the heater for the pool, which doesn't get run very often. And then also like an outdoor fireplace and like a small little wall heater in there. So is that sufficient? At one point, I think he had some plumbers come out and say that that's not a sufficient gas line to do all that. But he's basically acknowledging like, hey, like what happens then with the generator? Basically, if you add a generator to this line that's here, could we again just not run the heater, and basically then you have an 1.25 inch line dedicated just for the generator, in which case I think it's fine. And then in an emergency, maybe somebody screws something up. What happens if the generator is running and the pool heater comes on? What happens? Like, does the generator just shut off, or does this not run, or do they both run kind of half capacity? Like, I don't know how the generators work if it's not getting sufficient gas to run at full capacity. So anyway, we know it's just kind of like working a thing around, but it was basically going to be like 25 or 30 grand to run a new gas line. And he's kind of like, I mean, if all it is I just can't run the pool heat, while the power's out, then I'll just know that, no big deal. So anyway, let me know what you think about all this. If we can talk through it over the phone, maybe it saves you a trip out here, but it might be easier. Anyway, so is it possible to have a switch that back feeds, and then is the gas line issue going to be a real issue? Thanks.